Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses media before winter session of Parliament, says this is an important session, adds the government will discuss all issues and ready to answer all questions. Prime Minister wishes for decorum and sanctity of the House be maintained. Winter session of Parliament begins. Bill to repeal the 3 farm laws listed as priority. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia likely to move the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2020 in Lok Sabha. Government holds all-party meeting ahead of winter session of Parliament, seeks healthy discussion and cooperation of all political parties for smooth functioning. Centre asks states, union territories to enforce intensive containment, active surveillance measures in the wake of new variant of coronavirus. Union Health Ministry revises guidelines for international arrivals in India to be effective from December 1st amid Omicron alarm. Omicron variant puts nations on alert. United States, UAE, Japan, Cyprus, Estonia impose travel restrictions from today. New Zealand is likely to administer COVID-19 booster doses due to the new variant. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa calls for lifting of travel ban due to Omicron, says restrictions are scientifically unjustified, adds vaccination is the best defense against the new variant. And in sports, in day 5 of India versus New Zealand first test match, Kiwis to resume 4-for-1 at stumps. India set target of 284 runs for New Zealand. Good afternoon and welcome to this bulletin. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. The winter session of Parliament began today. The session, which will spread over a period of 25 days, will have 19 sittings. 26 bill and 1 financial item have been identified for being taken up during the session. The opening day of winter session of Parliament saw ruckus by opposition MPs in Lok Sabha. Lower House has been adjourned till 12 noon. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla appealed to the agitating members to cooperate in running of the House. When his call was not heeded, the Speaker had to adjourn the House.
सदन का पहला दिन है, देश की जनता चाहती है सदन चले, आप जनता की अपेक्षा आकांक्षाओं को रखो, ज्वलंत मुद्दों पर रखो। मैं आपसे आग्रह कर रहा हूं, संसद की मर्यादाओं को बना रखें, परंपराओं को बनाए रखें।
Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha has been adjourned till 12:19 p.m. after making arbitrary references and paying tributes to sitting MP late Oscar Fernandez. The upper house will resume at 12:20 p.m. On the first day of the session, Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been listed for introduction and passing in Lok Sabha. The bill will repeal the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, and Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020, and to amend the Essential Commodities Act 1955. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar to move the bill for consideration and passage in lower house. Also, Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will move the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2020 for consideration and passing. And earlier in his customary opening remarks ahead of the winter session of Parliament, Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed the session as an important one. He said the country is celebrating Amrit Mahotsav and that citizens of the country want a productive session. and that they are fulfilling their responsibilities for a brighter future.
भारत का संसद का ये सत्र और आगे आने वाले भी सत्र आजादी के दीवानों की जो भावनाएं थी, जो स्पिरिट था, आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव का जो स्पिरिट है, उस स्पिरिट के अनुकूल संसद भी देश हित में चर्चाएं करे, देश की प्रगति के लिए रास्ते खोजे, देश की प्रगति के लिए नए उपाय खोजे, और इसके लिए ये सत्र बहुत ही विचारों की समृद्धि वाला, दूरगामी प्रभाव पैदा करने वाले सकारात्मक निर्णयों वाला बने। मैं आशा करता हूं कि भविष्य में संसद को कैसा चलाया, कितना अच्छा कंट्रीब्यूशन किया, उस तराजू पे तोला जाए, न कि किसने कितना जोर लगा करके संसद के सत्र को रोक दिया।
And Prime Minister said the government is ready to discuss all issues and answer all questions during the session. Prime Minister called upon the opposition to debate in Parliament and maintain the decorum of the proceedings.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में हम ये भी चाहेंगे कि संसद में सवाल भी हो, संसद में शांति भी हो। हम चाहते हैं संसद में सरकार के खिलाफ, सरकार की नीतियों के खिलाफ जितनी आवाज प्रखर होनी चाहिए हो, लेकिन संसद की गरिमा, स्पीकर की गरिमा, चेयर की गरिमा, इन सब के विषय में हम वो आचरण करें जो आने वाले दिनों में देश की युवा पीढ़ी को काम आए।
And Prime Minister also urged people to be alert about the Omicron variant, the new variant of COVID-19.
कोरोना की विकट परिस्थिति में भी देश ने 100 करोड़ से अधिक डोजेज कोरोना वैक्सीन, और अब हम 150 करोड़ की तरफ तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। नए वेरिएंट की खबरें भी हमें और सतर्क करती हैं और सजग करती हैं। मैं संसद के सभी साथियों को भी सतर्क रहने के लिए प्रार्थना करता हूं। आप सभी साथियों को भी सतर्क रहने के लिए प्रार्थना करता हूं, क्योंकि आप सबका उत्तम स्वास्थ्य, देशवासियों का उत्तम स्वास्थ्य ऐसी संकट की घड़ी में हमारी प्राथमिकता है।
And Prime Minister said in a bid to provide relief to over 80 crore people during COVID-19 pandemic, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana has been extended till March of 2022.
देश के 80 करोड़ से अधिक नागरिकों को इस कोरोना काल के संकट के में और अधिक तकलीफ न हो, इसलिए प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना से अनाज मुफ्त में देने की योजना चल रही है। अब इसे मार्च 2022 तक समय आगे कर दिया गया है। करीब 2,60,000 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से 80 करोड़ से अधिक देशवासियों को गरीब के घर का चूल्हा जलता रहे, इसकी चिंता की गई है।
Update now on nationwide COVID-19 vaccination drive with administration of 42,04,171 vaccine doses. In the last 24 hours, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has exceeded 122 crore. 41,68,929 vaccine doses have been administered across the country so far. Some more details on COVID-19 situation. In India, the recovery of 9,905 patients in the last 24 hours has increased the cumulative tally of recovered patients to 3,40,08,183. Consequently, India's recovery rate stands at 98.34%. Sustained and collaborative efforts by the centre and states and union territories continue the trend of less than 50,000 daily new cases that is being reported for 155 consecutive days now. 8,309 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. Active caseload presently stands at 1,03,859. Active cases presently constitute 0.30% of the country's total positive cases, which is the lowest since March of 2020. The testing capacity across the country continues to be expanded. Last 24 hours saw a total of 7,62,268 tests being conducted. India has so far conducted over 64.02 crore cumulative tests, while testing capacity has been enhanced across the country. Weekly positivity rate at 0.85% remains less than 1% for the last 15 days. The daily positivity rate reported to be 1.09%. The daily positivity rate has remained below 2% for last 56 days and below 3% for 91 consecutive days now. Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla chaired an urgent meeting on new COVID variant of concern, Omicron. The meeting was held with various experts, Member Health in Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul, Principal Scientific Advisor to Prime Minister, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, and senior officers from Health, Civil Aviation and other ministries. Various preventive measures in place and those to be further strengthened were discussed. The review and updation of standard operating procedure on testing and surveillance of incoming international passengers, especially for those countries identified at risk category, was also discussed. The strengthening and intensification of genomic surveillance for variants through NSACOG network was agreed upon, with a focus on sampling the whole genome sequencing of international passengers, especially from those countries where Omicron variant has been detected. Airport health officials and port health officials will be sensitized for strict supervision of testing protocol at airports and ports. Decision on effective date of resumption of scheduled commercial international passenger service will be reviewed as per the evolving global scenario. Closer watch on emerging pandemic situation within the country will be maintained. Union Health Secretary has advised states and union territories regarding testing, surveillance, monitoring of hotspots, augmentation of health infrastructure, genome sequencing and enhancing public awareness. And in view of reporting of the new variant of COVID-19 named Omicron, Union Health Ministry has revised the guidelines for international arrivals in India to be effective from 1st of December. The ministry has mandated submitting 14 days travel details, uploading negative RT-PCR test reports on Air Suvidha portal before the journey. RT-PCR tests should have been conducted within 72 hours prior to undertaking the journey. As per Health Ministry's guidelines, travellers from countries at risk will need to take the COVID test post-arrival and wait for results at the airport. If tested negative, they will follow home quarantine for 7 days, retest, and on 8th day, if negative, further self-monitor for next 7 days. Travellers from countries excluding those countries at risk will be allowed to leave the airport and shall self-monitor their health for 14 days. A subsection 5% of total flight passengers shall undergo post-arrival testing at random at the airport on arrival. The cost of testing of such travellers will be borne by Ministry of Civil Aviation. International travellers arriving through seaports, land ports will also have to undergo the same protocol. As per the new guideline, children under 5 years of age are exempted from both pre- and post-arrival testing. However, if found symptomatic for COVID-19 on arrival or during the home quarantine period, they shall undergo testing and be treated as per laid down protocols. Amid concerns due to the new COVID-19 variant Omicron, Delhi Disaster Management Authority will hold a meeting today to take a call on international passengers, especially from South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe and Hong Kong, informed the government sources. Experts and representatives from Ministry of Civil Aviation are expected to attend the meeting, among others. Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal has also instructed concerned officials to ensure strict adherence to COVID-appropriate behavior at public places and ensure full preparedness at hospitals to handle any possible emergent situation. And those are visuals from the airport. High-level meeting of the DDMA is going to take place today to take a decision on passengers coming in, particularly from the new variant risk countries. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Delhi has instructed officials to maintain high vigil and preparedness both at the airport and at hospitals to meet with any eventuality. And we're heading for a short break. There's more coming up. Do stay with us.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
مرحبا إلى الهند.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
नमस्कार भारत.
Mui
Nous
India.
sommes land.
نحن هنود.
India.
माँ हिंदी हस्ती हिंदियानी
सलाम हिंदुस्तान.
We are India.
Welcome back, and big news just coming in. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been passed by Lok Sabha amid ruckus by the opposition MPs. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar tabled the Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 amid sloganeering by opposition MPs in Lok Sabha. That's the big news coming in from the Parliament. Union Agriculture Minister tabled the Farm Laws Repeal Bill, and it has also been passed by the Lok Sabha. This took place amid ruckus and sloganeering by the opposition members in the House. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill has been passed by Lok Sabha. Big news coming in from the Parliament. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill, all eyes were on the repealing of this bill. This bill in the Parliament has been passed by Lok Sabha amid huge ruckus and sloganeering by the opposition parties. A short while earlier, Agriculture Minister tabled the Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 on the table of the House, and amidst sloganeering protest by the opposition members on the floor of the House, the bill was passed in Lok Sabha. It's a big news coming in. All eyes were on the manner in which this legislation will be proceeded by the government. Prime Minister had earlier made a commitment that the three farm laws will be repealed in this winter session of the Parliament, and the news just coming in. You can also see the visuals from Lok Sabha. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been passed by Lok Sabha. The bill repealed the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, the Farmers Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020, and to amend the Essential Commodities Act 1955. With the ongoing protests by certain sections of the agriculture farming community, Prime Minister a few days ago made a commitment to repeal the farm laws in the present session of the Parliament, the winter session of Parliament. And today is the first day of the winter session, and on priority, the bill has been tabled, and it also has been passed from Lok Sabha. This took place amid loud sloganeering and protest by the opposition members. However, the bill, Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021, the news that's coming in from the Parliament, has been passed in Lok Sabha. The bill was earlier today tabled the floor of the House by Agriculture Minister. The big news coming in from the Parliament, the beginning of the winter session and the priority accorded to the repealing of the farm laws. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been passed by the Lok Sabha. This important bit of legislation also was passed amidst huge ruckus and sloganeering by the opposition. The news also coming in that Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. That's the news just coming in. Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2 p.m. but an important piece of legislation has been cleared. Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been passed by the Lok Sabha after it was tabled a short while earlier by Agriculture Minister on the floor of the House. The big news coming in from the Parliament. We'll also keep you abreast with more developments as they come in. Moving on, news from across the globe. The US plans to ban travel from South Africa and 7 other southern African countries starting today. There have been no confirmed cases in the United States of the new variant Omicron so far, but medical expert Dr. Fauci said it might already be here. Canada's health minister said the country's first 2 cases of Omicron were found in Ontario after 2 individuals who had recently traveled from Nigeria tested positive. US has banned entry from 8 South African countries. That is where this variant was first identified. Once again, let's turn to the proceedings from the Parliament. We take you live to Rajya Sabha.
Present experience in the last monsoon session still continue to haunt most of us. About 70% of the valuable time of this August House was lost due to disruptions and incidents of unruly conduct by some members during the last forgettable session, at the end of which there were no winners. All the sections of this August House ended up losers, and also the country. Should we not draw right lessons from such unpleasant experience that entail huge cost to democracy, besides leaving a bitter pill in the mouths of the people of our country who have pinned high hopes on the legislature and their chosen representatives? I leave it to your wisdom. This August House was conceived as an assembly of wise men who would let the heat and passions of the movement pass by before making the laws in calm and sincere and serene atmosphere. The Treasury branches wanted a detailed inquiry into the conduct of some members during the final 2 days of the last turbulent session. I have tried to reach out the leaders of various parties. Some of them made it clear that their members would not be a party to any such inquiry. Some leaders, however, expressed concern over the way functioning of the House was derailed during the last session and condemned the unruly incidents. I, on my part, was expecting and waiting the leading lights of this August House to take lead in expressing their outrage over what has happened during the last session with the assurance of introspection and spirited efforts to prevent recurrence of such incidents. Such assurance by all concerned would have helped me in appropriately handling the matter, but unfortunately it was not to be. Honorable members, I would like to, now it is customary, I would like to inform you that all the 8 department-led Parliamentary Standing Committee of Rajya Sabha have held a total of 21 meetings in the national capital since their reconstitution last month. They met for a total 39 hours, 33 minutes, which comes out to an average duration of 1 hour and 53 minutes per meeting. The average duration slipped below 2 hours as the meetings since the new committee held quite a few introductory meetings and to discuss the agenda for future. The average attendance in these meetings has, however, been a good 48.58%, which is close to halfway mark, and I have urged the chairman and members to reach to the members. I am happy to note that the efforts of in this regard, and I compliment the chairman of the standing committee for the same, and also members. The Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture held 4 meetings with the best average duration of 2 hours 48 minutes per meeting, besides average attendance of 51.61%. This committee held another 6 meetings for over 20 hours in 5 cities outside Delhi during study tours. Some other committees also may have done so. The Committee on Commerce held the highest number of 5 meetings for a duration of about 8.5 hours. I am glad to know that the share with all of you that the Committee on Education, Women, Child, Youth Affairs and Sports interacted at length with the 9th class student from Haryana who while examining the issue of reforms in content and design of textbooks. This is good evidence of reaching out to the stakeholders for effective feedback and for informed reporting on the subject chosen for the examination of the committees. This stakeholder consultation before the committees on a separate pedestal, they keep committees on a separate pedestal in aid of the Parliament. Honorable members, this is the 4th session, full session of this House to be held under COVID-19 protocol, which is the same as during the previous session. It is because the continuing challenge of the coronavirus and rising cases being reported from different parts of the world. Emerging new strains are posing a challenge and we should not lower the guard. This August House would be happy to take note that the vaccination is going on at a fast pace in our country. Over 120 crore doses of vaccine have so far been administered with 80% of the eligible people having got at least 1 dose. It is heartening to note that those who got the required 2 doses have outnumbered those who got only 1 dose recently. This House compliments the central government, state governments and all the other stakeholders, medical staff, Anganwadi and other grassroots level workers for their spirited efforts in this regard. All of them, they deserve compliments. Elected representatives, members of Parliament should continue to work with the people. I urge upon all my members of Rajya Sabha, you have a larger constituency. Please effectively take up campaign to see that everyone in your area is vaccinated in the and ensuring COVID appropriate behavior till battle against this virus is finally won. All of you would be aware, Sansad TV has been launched on 15th September this year by merging RSTV and LSTV. I urge all of you to take active part in different programs of the channel and also provide feedback and suggestions on the content and quality of the programs. You can make good use of social media platforms of Sansad TV to reach out to wider audience, especially in engaging youth with various dimensions of our democracy and developmental efforts. Together, we have gone through the highs and lows during the 11th session over the last 4 years. It was a revealing experience for all of us, in the light of which I look forward to a new normal marked by decency and decorum in the House. The way forward is to opt for dialogue and debate, then disrupt. Each one of you can raise any issue in an appropriate manner and unequivocally express your point of view on any issue if only we can create space for that instead of din in the House. I have already suggested to the government also yesterday and also to others, the government should try to reach the opposition to the maximum possible extent and also take them into confidence of the legislation they intend to take and also the rationale behind the legislations, and the opposition also must understand it in that right spirit, and then both of us must move on. There is a certain scope for the kind of democratic and parliamentary space with collective will. For doing so, we need to remind ourselves of the mandate of our sacred constitution and the responsibility cast upon us, you as the lawmakers under it. I look forward to manifestation of that spirit during this session. Honorable members, may I kindly take note that due to corona pandemic, the normal seating arrangement with fixed seat division numbers have been dispersed with. This session also was done as in the previous session. Members will be seated in Rajya Sabha chamber and galleries. The number of seats for each party at both places have been fixed as per the numerical strength for allocation amongst the members by the respective parties. Seats earmarked for the parties groups have already been communicated to their respective leaders. While every member seated in Rajya Sabha chamber will have a sound console with microphone on the allotted seat, some of the members sitting in the galleries may not find the microphone and the sound console system on their seats. However, in order to facilitate their participation in proceedings, one seat in each gallery has been kept vacant, to which these members can come and speak when called by the chair. Members who are sitting in the galleries, when called to speak, may first identify them by raising their hands and also announcing the place, the gallery number, where they are speaking before taking part in the discussion, so that they could be identified easily. For the sake of reaching out to people through proper voice, members are also permitted to speak while sitting. This is not done normally, but being followed since the 252nd session in view of the staggered seating arrangements. Papers to be laid on the table. Secretary General.
Permission, I rise to lay on the table a statement both in English and Hindi showing the bills passed by the Houses of Parliament during the 254th session of Rajya Sabha and assented to by the President.
Sri V. Muralidharan.
Chairman sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the House the papers listed against by name. My name at serial number 2 in today's list of business.
Petition praying to conserve and revitalize the dying rivers across the country. Sri Subhash Chandra Singh. And I have already called him. Keshav.
Sir, with your kind permission, I rise to present to the House a petition signed by Sri Vibhodendra Pratap Das, President Odisha Krushak Mahasangh, and Sri Manas Ranjan Sahu, President Seva Samiti, resident of Bhubaneswar, Odisha, praying to conserve and revitalize the dying river across the country.
Members, I have to inform that I had received a letter dated 15th September 2021 from Mrs. Arpita Ghosh, member representing the state of West Bengal, resigning her seat in the Rajya Sabha. I have discussed with her and have convinced that it is given of her will and consent. So I have accepted her resignation with effect from the 15th September 2021. Questions? Questions? I have not permitted 267 notices. I urge the members, time is very limited, please. Secretary General, message from Lok Sabha. I have not accepted, I have already told. All of you please sit down.
Sir, with your kind permission, I rise to report that the Lok Sabha at its sitting
I have not accepted
held on
that
29th November 21
notice under 267. I have already made very
passed the Farm Laws Repeal Bill to 2021. I lay a copy of the bill on the table.
Keshav.
If it is rejected or not, it will be known to me. I gave a notice of adjournment
for the sake of the honourable members, please. I would like to inform you, I have already stated last time also, the notices which are not admitted are not going to be read. If you want it, I will read. Sri Mallikarjun Khargeji demand to resolve issues related to farmers. That is the notice on 26th. Sri John Brittas, similar notice on the same subject. Sri Sanjay Singh, similar notice on the same subject. Dr. V. Sadasivan, similar notice on the same subject. Sri Vinay Viswam, similar notice on the same subject. Dr. Keshav Rao, discriminatory crop procurement policy of central government. And also Sri Alamaram Karim, alleged irregularities and violence during the Agartala Municipal Corporation election. Sri Viksharanjan Bhattacharya, of same subject, same notice. I have gone through all the notices and I don't think they deserve any suspension of the rules. You cannot question the chair. Sit down. Question 1. Sri Jivan Narasimha. Question hour is very important. Please sit down. No, don't encroach upon the rights of others. Question is very important.
Yeah, so question.
I need not answer you that way.
Question.
The chairman's discretion, whether he can admit a motion or not. I have said I have not admitted it.
So question 1 on implementation of gazette notifications on projects in Godavari and Krishna river basins.
You want to make a question about casualty on the very first day? I leave it to you.
So, the question 01.
The answer is laid on the table, sir.
I have told you.
So my supplementary to Honorable Minister.
No, you need not recommend. I know what is done. If you come to the well, If you come to the well, you will be named. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Sir, don't do this. Don't do this.
Sir, I would
First
like
day itself, coming to the well of the house, disturbing the house, disturbing questions.
Sir, I would like to.
No, please. Prakash, Kesarav Garu, please tell your members.
Sir, I would
It's
like
not
to
the way.
thank
I don't
Honorable
like it.
Minister.
I don't like it to happen.
I would like to thank Honorable Minister.
I don't want.
Also, Honorable Minister, Honorable Prime Minister.
You don't want the house to run.
The issue of gazette notification.
You don't want the house to run.
As per the provisions of the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014. Sir, my first supplementary to Honorable Minister.
No, please.
Some of the states, the two states involved in this gazette notification.
Nothing shall be
If any of
recorded.
the states is violating the intent and the content of the gazette notifications, what penal action can the state government, can the central government take? Because it is these notifications emerge out of the statutory provisions of the AP Reorganization Act. Therefore, I would like Honorable Minister to inform as to what best action the ministry can take in this regard.
Answer has to be brief. Minister,
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं माननीय सदस्य का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी और देश की सरकार के आंध्र प्रदेश रिओर्गनाइजेशन एक्ट के भावना के अनुरूप गजट नोटिफाई दोनों बोर्ड के लिए करने का धन्यवाद ज्ञापित किया है। माननीय सभापति महोदय,
honorable members, some people seems to have come determined not to allow the house to function. So I adjourn the house to 2 p.m.
And those updates coming in from Rajya Sabha amidst sloganeering and ruckus by the opposition. Rajya Sabha too has been adjourned for now. Those are the updates coming in from the Parliament a short while ago. Lok Sabha was also adjourned till 2 p.m. But before that, the crucial repealing of the farm laws, 3 farm laws took place. The Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 was passed in Lok Sabha a short while ago amidst sloganeering by the opposition. Just when 2 p.m. is still when Lok Sabha has been adjourned, and earlier in the day, Agriculture Minister had tabled the bill regarding repealing of the 3 farm laws, and they were also passed thereafter amidst sloganeering by the opposition. Those are the updates coming in from the Parliament, first day of the winter session, and significant protest and sloganeering witnessed by the opposition. Meanwhile, the important bill, regarding the 3 farm laws repealing, the Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been passed from Lok Sabha. That's a big update coming in from the Parliament. We'll be heading for a short break. There's more coming up. Do stay with us.
With the world's largest COVID vaccination drive, India is leading the way. As the vaccine reaches every corner of the nation, do not forget the mantra, Dawai bhi, Kadai bhi. Let's continue our fight against COVID-19. Vaccination along with social distancing, sanitization and masks.
Mask up, India!
Put your mask on and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask Up India.
Welcome back. Let's look at some international news and developments. United States plans to ban travel from South Africa and 7 other southern African countries starting today. There have been no confirmed cases in the United States yet, but United States medical expert Dr. Fauci said it might already be here. Canada's health minister, meanwhile, has said that country's first 2 cases of Omicron variant were found in Ontario after 2 individuals who had recently travelled from Nigeria tested positive. US has banned entry from 8 South African countries. The travel restrictions do not ban flights or apply to US citizens and lawful US permanent residents. The restrictions apply to South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique and Malawi. Most non-US citizens who have been in those countries within the prior 14 days will not be allowed into the United States. And United Arab Emirates has suspended entry for travellers from South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Zimbabwe, Botswana and Mozambique starting from today onwards due to concerns about the new variant of COVID-19 virus. The Saudi ban comprises flights to and from these countries. However, foreign nationals from the 7 countries could enter the kingdom if they had spent the previous 14 days in another country and comply with Saudi health protocols. In Estonia, arrivals from all European states are in effect subject to coronavirus restrictions from today after Spain moved down from the green list to the yellow. Finland, France, Monaco and Portugal have also moved down to the red list starting from Monday. The Health Board has also urged all arrivals from all states, vaccinated and unvaccinated alike, to take a PCR test on arrival. These will be provided free of charge. Arrivals should fill in an online passenger declaration form before arrival. The revised list, which cover the EU and EEA and equivalent, including the UK and Switzerland and the Shenzhen area. And Japan today announced it will suspend entry of all foreign visitors from around the world as a new coronavirus variant spreads. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said the measure will take effect from Tuesday. The decision means Japan will restore border controls that it eased earlier this month for short-term business visitors, foreign students and workers. Over the weekend, Japan tightened entry restrictions for people arriving from South Africa and 8 other countries, requiring them to undergo a 10-day quarantine period at government-designated facilities. On November 8th, Japan eased its ban on new entries by foreigners to allow business people, students, technical interns into the country on the condition their host organization agrees to take responsibility for monitoring their movement. Meanwhile, South Africa's president has condemned travel bans enacted against his country and its neighbors over the new coronavirus variant Omicron. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said he was deeply disappointed after rich Western countries for their knee-jerk imposition of travel bans after hearing about the new variant. Ramaphosa also said the country faced a 4th wave of COVID-19 within weeks as the new Omicron variant was driving a rise in infections in the most populated province of Gauteng. He urged all countries to take back travel restrictions so that South African economy does not get affected.
Deeply disappointed by the decision of several countries to prohibit travel from a number of Southern African countries, including our own, following the identification of the Omicron. This is a clear and completely unjustified departure from the commitment that many of these countries made at the meeting of the G20 countries in Rome last month. These restrictions are completely unjustified and unfairly discriminate against our country and our Southern African sister countries. We call upon these countries that have imposed travel bans on our country and our other Southern African sister countries to immediately and urgently reverse their decisions and lift the bans.
And Ramaphosa described the emergence of Omicron variant as a wake-up call for the world regarding vaccine inequality, warning that until everyone was vaccinated, more variants were inevitable.
The emergence of the Omicron variant should be a wake-up call to the world that vaccine inequality cannot be allowed to continue. Until everyone is vaccinated, everyone will continue to be at risk. Instead of prohibiting travel, the rich countries of the world need to support the efforts of developing countries, economies that is, to access and to manufacture enough vaccine doses for their people without delay.
Amidst these developments, a 3rd case of the Omicron coronavirus variant has been detected in the UK. UK Health Security Agency said person in the 3rd UK case had been linked to travel in Southern Africa. Testing is being carried out at locations they visited in London's Westminster area. The agency said it was very likely more cases would be found in the coming days. UK government meanwhile set out measures in response to the variant, including mandatory face masks in shops and on public transport in England. Other measures will see people arriving in the UK required to take PCR test and isolate until they get a negative result. Both these requirements and the mask mandate will come into effect on Tuesday. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has called the new measures for England temporary and precautionary and said that they would be reviewed in 3 weeks, just before most schools break up for their Christmas holidays. 10 countries in Southern Africa are now on UK's travel red list, meaning that until further notice, any British or Irish residents arriving in the UK after recently visiting any of those countries will have to quarantine in an approved hotel for 10 days. Residents from the countries themselves will not be allowed into the UK until the red list status changes. Meanwhile, an urgent meeting of G7 health ministers will be held today to discuss the developments on Omicron. Australia will review its plans to reopen borders to skilled migrants and students from December 1st. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said today, after the country reported its first few cases of Omicron coronavirus variant. 2 people who arrived in Sydney from Southern Africa tested positive on Sunday for the newly identified variant, as officials ordered 14-day quarantine for citizens returning from 9 African countries. A potential third positive case in Sydney is still under investigation.
The fact that we've had a new variant, that is not a surprise. We've been saying all through the pandemic that new variants will come and we'll deal with them as they turn up. We'll get the best information, we'll work together, we'll make sensible, practical, balanced decisions. And my key message to people is just to remain calm, do what you're doing, follow all the same usual procedures. Get your booster shot, get your second vaccine. Let's get that vaccination rate up over 90%. We're on track for that. It makes us one of the most highly vaccinated countries in the world. We're not in the situation we were back in March of 2020. We're in a very different situation to deal with these things now, and Australia has done very well through this pandemic.
And in the latest development, Australia's Northern Territory has detected its first case of Omicron strain. Authorities say there is no risk to the community because the man has been in quarantine since touching down in Darwin. Health Minister Natasha File said genomic testing had confirmed that an Australian man who travelled into Darwin from South Africa had the new variant of concern.
Went on a repatriation flight on November 25th. That flight, as I understand, went from Johannesburg straight into Darwin. The individual went straight to the Centre for National Resilience, but I can confirm today that that genomic sequencing has shown that the man does have the Omicron variant of COVID-19.
And Canada's Health Minister said the country's first 2 cases of Omicron have been found in Ontario after 2 individuals who had recently travelled from Nigeria tested positive. They are the first cases to be detected in North America. Canada has banned travellers who have visited Southern Africa countries in the past 2 weeks, in a ban which came into effect on Friday. And in another latest development, Dutch health authorities on Sunday confirmed that 13 cases of the new Omicron coronavirus variant have been found in the Netherlands among passengers that were on 2 flights from South Africa that arrived on Friday. The Dutch investigation began with testing of all the people who arrived on the 2 flights from South Africa at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport on Friday, before the Dutch government changed its rules on air traffic from Southern Africa due to concerns over the variant. The discovery of Omicron, dubbed a variant of concern by World Health Organization, has sparked worries around the world that it could resist vaccination and prolong the nearly 2-year COVID-19 pandemic. Dutch health authorities on Saturday detected 61 COVID cases among people who flew from South Africa on Friday. The cases were discovered among around 600 passengers who arrived at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport on 2 flights on Friday. Meanwhile, G7 health ministers are to hold an emergency meeting today on the new Omicron COVID-19 strain, as experts race to understand what the variant means for the fight to end the pandemic. The meeting was called by G7 chair Britain, which is among a steadily growing number of countries detecting cases of the heavily mutated new strain. So far, Omicron strain has been detected in at least a dozen countries, including Britain, Germany, France, Denmark, Israel, Canada, Hong Kong, Australia and South Africa. Meanwhile, Angola became the first southern African country to suspend all flights from its regional neighbors Mozambique, Namibia and South Africa. Some more updates on the COVID-19 front from across the world. COVID-19 cases swiftly soar across the world. So far, number of cases registered stand at 26 crore 17 lakh of the disease, while the number of recoveries stand at above 23 crore 64 lakh. More than 52 lakh 17,000 people have lost their lives due to the global pandemic. US continues to be the worst affected country with COVID-19. The country has registered more than 4 crore 90 lakh cases of the disease, with death toll surpassing 7 lakh 99,000. Meanwhile, European countries have again been witnessing a boom in COVID-19 cases, with UK registering the highest number of cases in the continent. The country has more than 1 crore 1 lakh cases of COVID-19, followed by France that has over 76 lakh 20,000 cases. Germany trails behind France, registering more than 57 lakh 82,000 cases, while Italy has also seen a spike where the number of cases stand above 50 lakhs. In football, Chelsea's lead at the top of the Premier League was cut to a point after they were held at home by Manchester United. Chelsea have 30 points from 13 games, with the City on 29 points, and Liverpool are a further point behind. United, with Michael Carrick in temporary charge of the team following the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, left Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench and fielded a defensive lineup designed to frustrate the league leaders. Chelsea dominated the first half, with United sitting deep and tight with 3 defensive midfielders in front of a back four without the suspended Harry Maguire and injured Rafael Varane. In Premier League fixtures, Manchester City beat West Ham United by 2-1. Manchester City midfield pair Leclerc Gundogan and Fernandinho were on target as Pep Guardiola's Premier League superiority over the West Ham continued. City have now won 10 of the 11 top-flight meetings with hammers under the Spaniard. The Londoners remain fourth despite suffering successive Premier League defeats for the first time since April. And after upending the soccer establishment by winning the right to host the World Cup, Qatar's preparations are heading into overdrive with rush to welcome more than 1 million fans. The tiny Gulf state has a reputation of punching above its weight, but challenges do not come much bigger than holding soccer's showpiece event in a desert peninsula of 2.7 million without a strong sporting tradition. More than 35,000 applied to be the volunteer, with those chosen helping fans, players and media at the tournament. And to boost their morale, members of the Qatari national soccer team took time out of their preparations for the Arab Cup to hold a training session with the tournament volunteers. More details in the report.
Members of the Qatari national soccer team took time out from their preparations for the Arab Cup to hold a training session with the tournament volunteers. The 16-team competition run over the next 3 weeks and is a dress rehearsal for next year's World Cup, which will take place in the Middle East for the first time.
I think this is a nice experience to be participating in the Arab Cup, and it's going to be in the same facilities as the World Cup, and it's going to be a nice experience also to be ready for the World Cup.
Qatar has spent the last decade preparing for one of the biggest events in the world, building state-of-the-art stadiums and commissioning infrastructure projects worth billions of dollars.
I would really recommend other people to become volunteers. It's like you learn a lot, you gain a lot, and you also give your skills and what you have, and you meet people from all over the world. It's like a big melting pot, one big happy family.
The 5,000 volunteers for the Arab Cup will be drawn from Qatar's diverse expat populations, with a dozen of nationalities represented, as well as a smaller number of the people coming from overseas.
It was really nice to meet all the Qatar national team players. They were really humble, very nice, and as we are not the perfect players, but we try to play with them, and they were really humble.
More than 35,000 applied to be a volunteer, with those chosen helping fans, players and media at the tournament, which will end on December 18, exactly a year before the World Cup final. Sports Desk, DD India.
And with that, we conclude this bulletin. News and updates continue after a short break. Namaskar.